I guarantee you that this knife makes the coolest sound of any knife that you have ever heard. Whoo-hoo, there it is. You see it? Peeking out. Little tease. What do you think that is? Is that a flipper or something else? Here it comes. There it is. Whoa, there it is. So this is the RAD Knives Field Cleaver. And it's not just any RAD Knives Field Cleaver. This is a very special, unique, fancy, whatever you want. Oh, look at that Mokutai clip right here. Oh, so beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. You see this? You see that Damascus? It's even better than regular Damascus. All right. Should I keep the tease going with the sound? Eventually, you guys are going to hear it because I've got to open this knife up to talk about it. Here we go. Oh, let's do it again in case you weren't prepared. Turn up your sound. Oh, oh, oh. Oh my God. So I've got a number of knives that will kind of ting and ring and zing, but none as much as this one. Oh, it's just such a cool sound. All right, let's talk about this. This is an interesting knife here. So when this came out, it took the knife world by storm. I don't know if, depending on when you came into the knife world and kind of what arena you played in, whether it was customs or mid-techs or productions, but a number of years ago, this thing popped up in the custom world out of nowhere, and it just took it by storm. There's a couple of reasons for that, I think. One is the whole field cleaver thing was relatively new at that time, especially a custom field cleaver. Large knives were still very, very popular. I feel like they're kind of coming back a little bit. But at this time when this came out, large knives was still very, very popular. But this one did it very well. You can see how it's relatively slim for being, oh, there it is again. For being a large knife, here it is compared to the Paramilitary 2. For being such a large knife, it wasn't as bad as what some of the craziness going on in the knife world was, right? People were really pushing the boundaries of what is a big knife. And this one kept it somewhat normal. So it's carryable, it's usable, and it has that cool cleaver shape. Let's get a weight while we're talking before I forget. 11.7 ounces, so not lightweight by any means, but it is absolutely huge. So the field cleaver, or the cleaver design, was really taking things by storm, and then RAD Knives came out of nowhere. And RAD Knives has an interesting story. So Collin is the owner of RAD Knives. I mean, he is RAD Knives, right? It's a one-person operation, custom knife thing. He came out of the custom car fabrication world. Now, you have to excuse me. I don't know a lot about that world, but he would fabricate parts for souping up cars, I believe. So like intakes, maybe. Once again, that is not my world, but he did a lot of fabrication, custom fabrication. I think it was called Toxic Fab or Toxic Fabrication, something like that. I do know he was very well respected in that world. His work was considered superb. People were really trying to get his stuff. And then out of nowhere, he got into the knife world with this knife. And what he did was basically take all of his manufacturing ability and all of his kind of perfectionism and applied it to the knife world. And he created essentially just a perfectly executed knife. Now, this might not be your cup of tea. I know you guys are yelling at the screen right now. That's a monstrosity. That's stupid. It's impractical. Nobody would ever use it. That's fine. But in terms of the quality of this in a custom knife is mind-boggling, especially at the time that this came out, right? Like, things have improved now, CNC machining, CAD, everything has gotten better. Everything's gotten more precise. But there was a time when custom knives could be a little dicey. Sometimes they weren't that great. Depending on the maker and how much care they put into it, you had to be really careful about making everything precise. So things like centering, detent, sometimes those were a little lacking. And RAD Knives came along and, they didn't invent that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying things were trash until Collin came along. I'm just saying he executed this thing with precision that was still somewhat special and rare at that time, I guess, if that makes sense. So he came in, everybody wanted his cleavers. He was high in demand. People were paying money like crazy to get these. And then he dipped, gone, abandoned everything, disappeared from the face of the earth, closed down his Instagram, stopped replying to people. From what I understand, he didn't leave anybody hanging. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he owed people money or owed people knives. He just shut down shop and ghosted. It was really bizarre. He was one of the hottest things out there, and then he left. And this was before he got a chance to do any collaborations with any production companies or anything like that. He came in, he blew the doors off the custom world with this super popular in-demand knife, and then he dipped. He was gone. And it left everybody scratching their head like, what happened? I don't think anybody fully has the story of what happened. I know he started to struggle a little bit with some mental health stuff, I believe. And then he also started to get a little aggressive with people and a little egotistical. I've heard different reports. 4-inch blade there. What a monster. Almost 10 inches, 9 3/4. Started to struggle a little bit, and he just dipped. But the main thing is nobody even knew if he was safe, right, at that time. Now, I've since learned that I believe he is still doing some car custom fabrication stuff now. Some people claim they've actually seen him on TV on some car stuff, so I think he's alive and well. And I think he's still doing the car fabrication thing, but as far as the knives go, no explanation that I'm aware of as to why he left, and especially in that kind of manner. So look at this Sanmai Damascus. You may think this is just regular Damascus, but it's not. So it's multi-layered Sanmai. So this steel here is different than the steel up here, the pattern up at the top. And why you do that is you can use a harder, more robust steel down here that's better for performance. And then up here, you can still have kind of the Damascus pattern. That, of course, means more work and more money. In this case, what you're getting is different patterns. You can see how this one is vertical, and then up at the top here is a horizontal pattern. It is executed so beautifully. The ergonomics on this thing, I mean, it's just impressive. It is so impressive. I mean, it's well out of my price range. Oh, but so glad I got a chance to check it out, hold it. Oh man, so much I haven't even talked about the knife. Pretty obvious though, titanium scales here. You've got this milling, this Anzo pattern that was really popular at that time, and it kind of creates a pseudo bolster going on up here. Obviously not a real bolster, but it kind of mimics that look. Titanium frame lock, no lock bar insert, but no lock stick. And the reason it has no lock stick is because the geometry is done so perfectly that it's not putting a ton of force to make it sticky here. So done really, really well. Moku type pocket clip, nice and big. Titanium backspacer, gear pattern here, a couple of speed holes for looks. The jimping on this thing is fantastic. Look how aggressive and big that jimping is. Really, really cool knife. So awesome. A shame that he left, right? A shame that he left the industry, because I think there's a lot of things he could have done. Collaborations, you know, possibly get a knife like this in the hands of people that couldn't afford the custom, but we'll never know. Maybe he'll come back. I don't know. Let me know down below. What do you think of this knife? Do you remember it? Did you ever want to get one? I know I did. All right, guys, take it easy. I'm out.